Hello, everyone, and welcome to Dynamics 365 for Finance and Operations webinar, which is called Continuous Updates for Dynamics 365 for Finance and Operations, Predictably Stay Current. In this webinar, I'm going to talk about continuous updates for finance and operations, what are the requirements, what are the benefits of them, and how One-Click Factory could help you as a partner and also as a finance and operations customer stay continuously updated. So before going on, let me first introduce myself. So I am Paulius Brizgis. I am a leading Dynamics 365 for Finance and Operations developer. I've been working with AX already for 8 years. I've been working in upgrade projects and implementation projects as developer and also as a solution architect. And I have been lately also working on automated testing services in One-Click Factory. So let's have a look at what we'll cover today. So before moving to the main topic, I'm going to first introduce you to One-Click Factory, and then we're going to talk about continuous updates 101, what is the context, why they are there, and what are the benefits of them. Then we're going to talk about continuous updates and validation testing, what are the ways to test, how you should test, and what are the different options in testing. Then we're going to talk about continuous updates and possible automated testing options. And lastly, we're going to talk about One-Click Factory's Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations Solution maintenance services that we have recently introduced. And after these topics, we're gonna have a short Q&A session. So please feel free to provide any questions you have in the chat window, and I'll be more than happy to answer those after the main topics are covered. So let's not wait and start. So first, I'm gonna give you a short intro to One-Click Factory. So One-Click Factory as a company was established in the year 2009. Today, we are the leading software services company that focuses on 3 key platforms: Dynamics NAV, or Business Central as it's known currently, Finance and Operations, or Dynamics AX as it was formerly known, and also .NET or Sidecore development. So our Dynamics 365 for Finance and Operations competency is in the areas of upgrade, development, and also support for the Finance and Operations platform, while we have also recently introduced extension maintenance services for both our Finance and Operations and Business Central. Another important thing to note about One-Click Factory is that we are Microsoft's ISV Development Center. And One-Click Factory, as an ISV development center, is ready to help you build your competencies and make right investments for your future. We have full Dynamics add-on product lifecycle covered, from development to go-to-market strategies and ongoing support. We are also ready to help to build your competencies, as we have training services for all the products that we cover. And last thing to note about One-Click Factory is that we are more than 70 experienced, reliable, and professional consultants and developers, which all of us, we are certified, and we work exclusively through Microsoft partners, and our partners always remain the owner and primary contact for their customers. So that was the short introduction about One-Click Factory. And now let's move to the main topic of today's webinar, which is continuous updates. So let's first have a look at the context. What are the continuous updates and why they are there? So continuous updates were introduced with Microsoft's one version approach to finance operations. So what does it mean, one version? It basically means the same as now we have in, let's say, Windows 10. Microsoft has already stopped releasing new versions of Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations, and instead currently the system gets automatically updated by Microsoft from time to time. So the newest hotfixes and features are already there for every customer. And how are these continuous updates different from the upgrades that we previously knew? Well, first of all, one version updates are aimed to have every Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations customer on the latest version. Updates are rolled out every 6 weeks as platform updates, so they are continuous and they are really frequent. The other thing to note is that updates are automatic. Customer sandbox and production environments get updated automatically, so there's no need to merge code and to apply those updates manually. Also, customer is given an update Sunday choice after 3 Sundays, so you have flexibility in choosing which dates suits you the most, based on your business schedule and other requirements. Also, important to notice that updates are mandatory. While they can be postponed and opted out, no more than 3 updates can be canceled in a row. And that results that at least 2 annual updates have to be taken and are required to be taken by Microsoft. And what are the purposes of continuous updates? So there are basically 2 main reasons why you should stay always up to date. And first one is that you always have the latest features available. So you have all the latest and coolest stuff from Microsoft already available in your finance and operations deployment. Let's say you have the latest both regulatory requirements and also you have the latest features available. And also another important reason is that you always have the latest bug fixes available. So if there was a bug which is it might not even be relevant for you, but it was fixed in some key update, it will now be available for you, and not like it was in our previous versions of AX applications. So, and what are the requirements of continuously staying up to date? So there is a list of, there is a few requirements actually. So first, naturally, you need to have a live Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations solution on software as a service deployment. So that's a natural requirement, because if you want to have continuous updates, you need to have actually the Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations live. Second requirement is you need to have your LCS solution configured for automatic updates. Third, you need to follow the release plans to stay informed. While that's not really a requirement, that's a really massive recommendation to follow and to keep up to date what's being rolled out. Otherwise, you might experience some unexpected things coming out from updates. Then you also need to pick update Sunday and accept automatic updates. And the last, but the most important requirement to stay up to date is validate updates in the sandbox. So that's actually what we're going to talk about next, is how to validate updates and what are the different ways of validations. So for the next topic, continuous updates and validation testing. So in this topic, I'm going to talk about various ways of testing and in which scenarios what kind of testing should be applied. So first, why is testing needed, especially with the continuous updates? So testing is naturally needed to validate your modifications are compatible with new features. And also, testing is needed to ensure that your business processes are still fully functional in new version of finance and operations. That's especially relevant when there are automatic updates occurring. And how the testing should be performed. So there are several ways to perform different kinds of testing. So first of all, unit testing should be performed for each modification in the development environment already. So anything that's untested doesn't get released any further than the development box. Functional business event scenario testing should be performed in sandbox environments, and end-to-end testing should be performed with every feature released to production, and that has also be performed in sandbox environments. And automated updates should be end-to-end tested in sandbox before applying production. And what are the different test classifications and reasons? So basically, tests can be different tests can be split in 4 major categories based on the size of the pieces of the solution that are being tested. So starting from the bottom, the most granular tests are unit tests. So these are tests for testing class functionality, and these tests are authored by engineer who wrote the code. Then there's component tests, and these are the testing of individual business logic components. So for example, discount engine or some price logic or some order posting. Then on top of that, there are multiple component tests, which already combines component tests into one suite. And the biggest and the most generic chunk of type of tests are business cycle tests. So these are the ones which are actually users are testing when they're performing automated testing, user acceptance testing, excuse me. So with these test classifications in mind, there are several tools introduced by Microsoft to perform different kinds of testing. And again, going from the bottom to the top, you can see that there are three different colors that this pyramid is colored. And so the pink one is Systest Sweetspot. So this is the unit testing framework that's introduced by Microsoft, where basically the developer has to program its own unit tests using Systest framework. Also, there's ATL. ATL tests are more automated and more generic, so they are not really aimed to test a class or a method, but they are already aimed to emulate some kind of business processes, a small business process, let's say, and they are aimed to perform component tests that can be used both in development environments and also in sandbox environments already. And on the top, the green tool is Regression Suite Automation Tool, or RSAT. So that's the tool that I'm going to talk about later in this webinar. And this is the tool which is basically aimed to emulate the user testing. So it's aimed to emulate user processes in the actual finance and operations application, and to perform basically end-to-end testing, both when developing new features and also when applying the automated updates. And another topic when talking about the testing is integration testing. So I've been receiving quite a lot of questions about how to test. Well, while there are plenty of tools, actually 3 frameworks basically to test from unit tests to the user process tests. What about the integrations and how they can be tested? So regards integrations, there are basically, let's say, 4 different approaches. So there is one tool which can be used for data management entities that's called data task automation. So if that fits your needs, then the data task automation can be tested to use to test the data management entities. Also, another way to test integrations is compilation tests to verify deprecated and obsolete data entities. That's the one that's been working, and actually the data entities getting deprecated, and they give compilation either warning or error. So you should follow that. And that's a good way to identify whether you had extended data entity that's now being deprecated. Now, also, automated testing is possible if integration test outcome can be validated in Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations. So let's say you have an integration where you're basically, let's say, sending a sales order for some shipping company, and then when it gets the sales order, when the shipping company via integration receives that order, you get a response in Finance and Operations with, let's say, info log message that, hey, okay, I received that. Then you can validate this output actually with automated testing and with Regression Suite Automation tool. So that's about if your integration is like that, it can be tested with the automated testing tools. And lastly, if your integration doesn't fit any of the 3 above, then yes, manual testing has to be performed with the integrations that have to be both validated in Finance and Operations and also in integrating system, because there's really no way for the Microsoft tools that are there to validate the outcome in integrating system, because there are just too many different integrating systems. So you have to validate that outcome manually. So that's about the integration testing, and actually about the different kinds of testing in general. So next I'm going to talk about continuous updates, and I'm going to talk about automated validation testing. So in this section, we're going to talk about Regression Suite Automation tool, So as I already mentioned, Regression Suite Automation Tool is aimed at business cycle tests and also at multiple component tests. And this is a tool that's been introduced by Microsoft together with the continuous updates. And this tool is aimed to automate business cycle tests. So the key features and benefits of it is that non-developers can record user tasks using Finance and Operations Task Recorder, and they can be converted into a suite of automated user interface tests. Regression Suite Automation Tool reduces the time and cost of user acceptance tests when taking Microsoft Update or even when applying custom code and configurations. Also, Regression Suite Automation Tool is fully integrated with Azure DevOps for reporting and also for test case failure investigation. And another important thing to note about Regression Suite Automation Tool is that its test parameters are decoupled from test steps, so they are not saved anywhere, and they are stored in Microsoft Excel files, and that gives you quite a lot of flexibility of how you define those parameters. So what are the requirements to use this tool and to use automated testing in finance and operations? So there are a few things that you need to set up before you actually are able to run the RSAT or Regression Suite Automation Tool. So first of all, your business processes need to be well documented in Lifecycle Services Business Process Library. Then your testing scenarios have to be defined and test cases have to be created in DevOps. Then your test cases need to be parameterized in Excel files. So you need to basically provide rules to evaluate each field. And conditions how each field should be evaluated in Excel files. And lastly, you need to actually set up those tools. You need to automate to set up RSAT to be configured in a separate development or sandbox. And this is basically a chart of how the automated testing setup splits into three major pieces. So first, you author and distribute business process modelers. So you record tests, you save them to business process modeler, and you manage and distribute that to BPM library. Then when you have that done, so you select BPM library, synchronize test cases to DevOps, and if in case you're not using BPM, you can create test cases and attach recordings directly. And from there, you can create test plan and test suites in DevOps. And lastly, when you're done with the DevOps setup, you need to execute tests and manage results, which is done with RSAT and Azure DevOps. So you generate tests using RSAT, you update parameters in the Excel files, then you execute those tests, and lastly, you report and investigate test case outcomes in DevOps. So that's how it's So that's how automated testing is set up and how it's used. And to talk a bit about the automated testing result evaluation. So from our experience in using automated testing, there are basically three major reasons why the test cases might have failed. So first major cause is data inconsistencies versus initial testing data. So that means that either your master data or your setup data or your actual business data has changed. Your rules for data has changed since the initial test cases were generated. And the test cases are now failing, but they're not failing because of the automated update, but they're actually failing because of changed data. So what should you do then? Well, you basically need to update test cases to actually reflect changes in your data. Second major reason, which is quite often because finance and operations installations are always an evolving product, and customers are always introducing new requirements, and there's new developments being introduced in finance and operations. So the second major cause is that test cases do not reflect the latest code base. So test cases might have been created on an older code base, and they haven't, through the through the development cycle, they haven't been updated, and now they are failing. And they are failing because the code is talking different things than the test case was set up to. So what should you do then? Well, again, as you did with data, you should upload those test cases to reflect the latest changes in your code base. And last reason, and that's a tricky one. So why the automated test can fail is conflicts with the updated Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations business logic. So these are the ones that are actually popping up when you have automated updates applied and when your changes are not really compatible with Finance and Operations newer versions anymore. So if you receive that kind of failure, you need to investigate for the potential reason, and you probably need to introduce some code changes to actually accommodate that change in your business processes, in your business logic, and to just to keep your system still functional. It can also be caused by Microsoft bug. So there are sometimes cases when actually platform updates or automated updates are introducing bugs to the standard solution, and your test cases might detect that. So in case that, if that's the case, you can report that to Microsoft, and you can also even get the automated update delayed for you and also for other finance and operations customers while Microsoft fixes that issue. So these were three major causes for failed test cases, and also how you should address those failures, how you should fix and make your testing successful again. So with that in mind, I'm going to now talk about one-click factories, Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations Solution maintenance services. So realize that automated testing is requiring quite a lot of effort from partners and from customers. And we realize that we can help with our expertise and with our close support from Microsoft, that we can help both finance and operations partners and customers to set up, to identify what's missing, to set up and to run automated testing. So we have introduced three different services with the automated testing in mind. So first service we have introduced is called Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations Testing Readiness Assessment Service. The second service is Dynamics 365 Testing Scenarios Development Service. And the third service is Finance and Operations Solution Maintenance Service. So let's have a better look at all of these three services. And first service to have a look at is Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations Readiness Assessment. So this is a service where basically we have a 1 hour online call where together with me or my colleague, we go through your solution. We inspect your assets that you have ready for automated testing. We inspect your test cases and we evaluate them. And with that in mind, we provide you either with a green light and that you're ready for automated testing, or we provide you with a list of missing assets, and we also provide a quote to help you develop those missing assets. And we see that the main benefits of the service is that you get to know your solution readiness quickly and without heavy effort. And as a deliverable of this service, we can deliver you a report of automated solution testing readiness report, where we identify the missing assets, if there are any. And also we deliver a proposal for testing scenarios development service. So what are we actually assessing there? So we are looking basically at three major things that you have in your Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations installation. So we are evaluating business process definitions, if you have them defined in Business Process Modeler. We are evaluating testing scenarios definitions, and we are evaluating automated testing execution setup, if you have that. So if you have all of that, we can skip the build service and we can move straight to the solution maintenance service. But if not, then we have a second service, which is called Dynamics 365 Finance Operations testing scenarios development service. So with this service, we aim this service to help finance and operations customers and partners to actually create what's missing. So create business process definitions, create test cases, and to define testing parameters, and also to set up automated testing. So the main benefits of the service, as we see, is that we help partners to achieve solution readiness for automated testing with the professional guidance. And we also are willing to take boring tasks, because these are, as I have talked with other partners, these are boring tasks, so we are willing to take those boring tasks on our shoulders and deliver us on the service. So we deliver business process definitions and business process library, and we deliver test scenarios, configurations, and DevOps project. And we also deliver testing files. So the last service that we have is solution maintenance subscription service. So with this service, we basically give a continuous testing and continuous maintenance with every platform release to our partner and to our customer. So the main benefits, as we see it, is that it gives you a predictable planning of resources, so you don't need to allocate your people anymore, and you don't need to allocate your people on the weekends to test those automated updates. We provide also confidence in customer solution with continuous development lifecycle. And the deliverables, so with each iteration, customer gets solution tested and gets code fixed for testing errors and receives updated solution code. So how we actually deliver the solution maintenance service. So first of all, we do initial preparation and setup. And then with every automated update, we perform 5 major steps. So first of all, we prepare the test environment. So we get the latest code and the latest data from LCS for that customer's solution. We run the compilation, of course, to verify if there are already some early errors. Then we apply the latest updates. And after that, we run automated testing. So when the automated testing run is completed, we evaluate test results. And if there are any failed tests, we will check, we will fix, and we'll deliver the updated code again to DevOps projects for the customer to consume, to evaluate, and to release to production. So their automated update is basically safe when they are releasing it, applying it to production. So let's talk a bit about more about the solution maintenance service. So solution maintenance service consists of continuous testing. So what are being tested actually? So business cycle tests and scenarios tests are executed. So we are using our SAT tool and automated testing that's provided by Microsoft. These tests are executed on latest code base and database to keep testing relevant. All of the tests that are defined are executed. And again, there might be some business scenarios that are not defined and might not be tested, so that has to be kept in mind. And these automated tests are executed with each of the platform updates and major releases that are happening with finance and operations. And failed test cases are inspected manually for potential reasons why they are actually failed. So Click Factory is basically continuously providing code fixes for with each iteration of the platform update. So we are running test cases, we are manually inspecting them, and if they are failures in these test cases are caused by platform updates and not by new code or new data, then we commit to fix that code either ourselves or by Microsoft. And we'll provide you with a report after each automated update in the iteration. And another important thing to note is that redesigning modifications to deprecated standard features is not in scope. So that has to be, we'll let you know if the deprecated feature is coming up 1 year ago, because we are following the release note. And we might help you to redesign your modifications, but that's not in the scope of this service. So with these things in mind, the next step to follow up. So if you have finance and operations solution and you're not sure how to proceed with automated testing, you're not using that, but you would like to, please feel free to request online finance and operations testing readiness assessment at oneclickfactory.com. So with these things in mind, I would like to thank you for participating and wish you a good evening today, and also a good weekend, which is coming up quite soon. So thank you, everybody, and bye.